Hey, how's it going? So I'm going to show you the cure for sitting at the desk syndrome. It's a couple moves, a combination, so a couple strengthening exercises with a couple stretches. And if you practice these every day, or at least a couple of days a week, you will fix the things that come along with sitting for prolonged periods of time, which include tight hip flexors, relaxed core, low back pain, and hunched over shoulders. So the first move is the most important one for, I think, any situation, but especially for this one, and that's strengthening the core muscle that starts to relax when you sit for too long. And the exercise to do that is called the dead bug. So you're gonna lie on your back and put your knees at 90 degrees, hands straight up overhead, pressing your low back into the mat. You're gonna slowly extend one leg out, pushing your heel out, but go very slow and make sure your low back stays pressed into the mat the whole time. So if you can only go out to here before it comes up, just stay there, hold it, and then bring it back, and then switch to the other leg. As you get stronger with this exercise, you'll be able to go further and further out by tightening your core and keeping the low back and pressed into the mat. The goal is to never let that low back arch. So you'll be able to go further and further out, the stronger you get, always going slow, and do it for about a minute or two. You can do it, I do it in the morning, and practice it as much as you can. So that will strengthen that core muscle that gets relaxed when you sit too much. In between your sets of practicing that, you can stretch your hip flexor. This is the muscle that gets tight when you sit too much. The best stretch for that is a low lunge. So coming into this position with your foot forward, knee at a 90-degree angle, on your other knee with a slight tilt in your pelvis, put your hands up over your head and feel that stretch right alongside here. If you want to intensify the stretch, you can sit into it, lean into it a little bit more. You can also put your hands into a pistol grip and lean over to the side if you want to make it more intense. But the goal is really to just feel a sensation of a stretch and sit there feeling the stretch for about 45 seconds to 60 seconds. Do both legs. And you can go between doing your dead bugs and your low lunge. Strengthening and lengthening. So let's come over here and we're going to see how we can address the hunched over posture that happens when we sit too much, or we're at a computer and we're very internally rotated with our upper body. First, we strengthen by doing a movement called, an exercise called a base pull. So with a nice tight core and strong posture, one leg can be forward if that feels more stable to you. You're going to pull with a resistance band that's anchored somewhere high, but it's very stable. It's not going to snap and hit you in the face. You're going to pull towards aim for your nose and lead with your hands and keep your elbows out. You're going to be squeezing these small muscles in your upper back every time you do it. Try to keep the shoulders down. Don't let them punch. And do it about 12 times with a resistance that feels like a challenge for you. And in between those sets, so you do 12 of those, strengthening, you're going to do the doorway stretch. I don't have a doorway that's great for that right here, but pretend this is the doorway. You're going to put your arm like a goalpost with the elbow at 90 degrees and lean into it, opening up right under your armpit and your chest. And you can start walking your hand up the door a little bit more to intensify the stretch. And if the doorway is the right size, you can do both at the same time and lean into it and reach back. We're trying to do this motion, like you're trying to go backwards with your hands, touch something behind you. So you can stretch both at the same time. So we'll do face pulls to strengthen those muscles that counter the hunching, and then we'll stretch those muscles that get tight with the doorway stretch. This is actually a pec minor stretch if you want to look it up on Google. Finally, to release the most tight hip flexor of all the hip flexors, because there's more than one, I recommend you get a foam roller, like $14 on Amazon, and you're going to find what's called the TFL. It's one of the hip flexors that gets most tight and actually causes knee pain. So you're going to roll onto the foam roller, and you're going to find it. It's kind of on your right below your hip crest, slightly in towards the middle of your body, and you can roll on the foam roller a little bit. You can flex your knee a little bit, flex your hip, and when you find it, you'll know it because it's very strong. The sensation is very intense. It feels like a pressure point. And once you've found it, stay there and start slowly putting the hip through that motion of hip flexion. You're going to move your knee back and forth as you flex your hip and feel that muscle just floss over that foam roller. It'll feel really intense at first, and you should only do it for about 20 or 30 seconds on each side. But if you do this every day, it'll start feeling less and less intense. And as that happens, you'll know that it's getting less and less tight. The tighter it is, the more intense the sensation will be. If you do all those things a couple times a week or even every day, and it'll only take about 5 minutes, that will be the cure to the sitting at the desk syndrome.